Hello, welcome to Level Change channel. My name is Claudio Fonseca. I'm a real Boeing pilot, and if you don't know me, if you don't know this channel, I will ask you for 2 minutes because I'm going to explain who I am, what to expect from this video, and what I have to offer to you. Okay, so my name is Claudio Fonseca. I'm a real Boeing 777 pilot, and now with the imminent launch of the PMDG Boeing 777, I want to explain you on this video what you should expect from this airplane in the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and I will also give you access to a 777 guide developed by myself for you to fly the Boeing 777 from PMDG or any other Boeing 777 on your home simulator. Okay, so first let's talk about what is the PMDG. The 777 by PMDG is one of the most famous airplane for the Microsoft Flight Simulator, launched on the Microsoft Flight Simulator X, then upgraded to the Prepare 3D, and we are about to see basically the same airplane on the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. So what I'm expecting to see on this new simulator is the same fidelity that we have on this version that you see on your screen now on Prepare 3D. I want to show you just a small feature from the 737, and that's the level of technology, that's the level of detail that you are going to see on this airplane. Okay, so before I jump into the guide, I want to show you first our I will take you to the Boeing 777 Flight Crew Operations Manual. Okay, so this manual, I found it on the internet. You will be able to find as well. You just type on Google FCOM 777 and eventually you will find something. The one that I found on the internet, because I cannot discuss private information from my company, is this one from LATAM. Okay, so I found on the internet this one from LATAM, and this one I'm showing to you because this is the one I have access, and anybody can have access as well. Okay, so let's go down here, and then when we talk about APU and cargo fire panel, we are going to discuss these two buttons here. These are the cargo fire arm switches, and you're going to see that they are represented by number 4 and number 5. So we are going to scroll down and we are going to see what Boeing says about number 4 and number 5. Okay, so the cargo fire arm switches, when they are armed, which means when you press them, okay, it will arm all cargo fire extinguisher bottles. It will not use them, it will just arm them to be used. It will also arm the selected compartment extinguisher valve. Okay, will also turn both lower circulation fans off, will shut down cargo heat, will shut down in-flight entertainment system, will command the pack to provide minimum airflow required to provide pressurization, will shut down the bulk cargo compartment ventilation system operation, but this one only if you press the aft cargo. Okay, so here on the top, one more time, we have two buttons like this. Only if you press the aft one, okay, this happens. Then the next one is to shut down the lavatory and galley ventilation fan, and the last one is to put the equipment cooling system into the override mode, but there is an observation here, like the bulk cargo ventilation. For the equipment cooling system into the override mode, it only works in the forward cargo fire. Okay, so for this one, it's going to work only if you press the forward. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is that the PMDG from 777 is capable of reproducing all of this, and I'm going to show you a very simple step, and on this very simple step you are going to see how accurate this airplane is. Okay, so the cargo fire panel is on the upper part of the overhead panel, and now we go to the cargo fire panel. I'm going to zoom in here, and on this image here you can see the buttons that I was talking about: the cargo fire arm switch, the forward and the aft. Okay, and when we read what it does when you arm the cargo fire arm switch, one of the things is that if you arm the forward one, the equipment cooling will go into override mode. Okay, so this is the equipment cooling. You can see here on the right. So now you can see not only the cargo fire arm switches, but also the equipment cooling switch, which is in the auto position. So if I press this equipment cooling, if I turn it off, I take it from auto, it goes into the override mode. Okay, so this is the override mode that we want when the cargo fire arm switch forward goes to the arm position. Okay, so I'm going to keep equipment cooling in auto. I'm not going to touch the equipment cooling switch anymore, and you are going to see that when you press the cargo fire arm switch, this equipment cooling goes to the override mode, even with the auto position selected, because this is one of the features of the cargo arm forward switch. Okay, so I can disarm the cargo fire arm switch, the forward one, and you are going to see that the equipment cooling is back to the normal auto position. If I do it to the aft switch, you are going to see that nothing happens on the equipment cooling, because it doesn't change the equipment cooling when you arm the cargo fire switch in the aft compartment. Okay, so I'm going to bring it back to the normal, and one more time, cargo fire arm switch forward, you will see equipment cooling override mode. Also, if you go to your main screen, then you are going to see, I'm going to pop up this, and I expect that you can do it on the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 as well. You can pop up screens. You are going to see that that is the equipment cooling override ACAS message there. This is the new message that is there because we just take the cargo fire arm switch forward to the arm position. Once again, if I take this off, you see that you do not have the ACAS indication, you do not have the checklist anymore, and the equipment cooling is the normal auto position. Okay, one more time: forward cargo fire arm switch to armed, equipment cooling goes into the override mode, and you have the ACAS message. Not only you have the ACAS message, and now I'm going to pop up the lower screen, but you have the equipment cooling override checklist. Once you press in the checklist, because you have no normal checklist to comply with, it gives you the two options, the two messages that you have, and I'm going to select equipment cooling override, and then here you have the equipment cooling override checklist. Okay, one thing that you are going to notice is that you have the complete checklist here, and also all the features related to that checklist, to that failure, or to that problem. Okay, so it says condition: the equipment cooling system is in override mode. Then it says wait 2 minutes. This allows time for any smoke in the system to clear. And note, not only you have to wait 2 minutes, but the checklist is already counting the 2 minutes for you. Now it's 1 minute and 15. It's a countdown a countdown timer, and when you see 0 here, then you can click on the first item that will mean that you already wait for 2 minutes. Of course, this is the problem that you are going to have if you do not follow the standard cargo fire checklist. Okay, if you have cargo fire checklist, by the time that you use your discharge button, okay, so this was discharged, you are going to see that the bottle discharge cargo is shown, and then you can continue with your normal, with your non-normal procedures, in this case, to complete whatever checklist you have to complete. Okay, so in this case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just bring it back, get it out of auto, okay, because by now we are finishing, or we are going to continue the checklist. So 2 minutes is gone. Now you see that even changes to amber, saying that the 2 minutes is gone. You can click on the 2 minutes and continue the checklist, which states equipment cooling switch off, then auto. The equipment cooling message blanks. Okay, so you are going there, off, auto. The equipment cooling message blanks. It already turned green because you turn it off, you turn it out as requested by the checklist. The airplane can sense that this was done by you, and it already completes the next step. And then it says, wait 1 minute. This allows time for the system to reset. Once again, the 1 minute is already counting. You have only 37 minutes, and so on. So what I'm trying to explain to you is that this is the level of realism that I'm expecting to see also in the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 with the PMDG 777. Okay, I'm expecting to see all the resources that were on the Prepare 3D brought into the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, plus some extra systems like the communication system that was not available on the Prepare 3D. Most probably are going to be able to use the Hopi data link system. Maybe not on the first day, but that will come for sure. Now that Active Sky already launched the Active Sky for the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, we have a good chance of having a weather radar operational on the 777 as well, and so on. So I'm expecting everything from Prepare 3D and even more. And as a real Boeing 777 pilot, I have to tell you that this airplane is amazing. I can even use this airplane to study for my type rating, to study for my real simulator sessions, to if I see something different in flight, and can come here and try to replicate, and I can go to the FCOM just I did with you and try to understand line by line, especially when it says, like in the case that I wanted to show you, that for example the equipment cooling system into the override mode only works if you take the forward cargo fire switch, and all those details I can come on my home simulator and I can test it and I can understand the system itself. Okay, another thing that I want to show you just before we finish this is that all the synoptic pages, they work, and I'm expecting them to work on the new Microsoft Flight Simulator. For example, you can see the electric page, you can see the hydraulic page, fuel page, air conditioning, doors, gear, flight controls. The only one that we are not going to see for now is the camera switch, the camera, the taxi, that we use for the camera that we use for taxi. This is not going to work, but this is not a big deal because it's not really necessary for you to operate the real airplane, so it's not really necessary for you to operate this on the simulator. And I will even bring on this channel more details about how we do not use this camera in flight or during taxi if we do not have it available. So you will be able to understand how you can deal with that as well. Okay, so this is part of my YouTube channel. This is part of what I do. I try to explain to flight simmers and to general public how to fly the 777, also how to fly the 737, which I flew for 8 years. Now I'm almost 7 years on the 777. So all these details and a little bit of my real world experience I try to bring to the Microsoft Flight Simulator or the Prepare 3D together with the PMDG airplanes. Of course, if you are a real pilot and you want to share your knowledge, or you even want to use these videos to refresh your knowledge, please feel free. And if you find something, or if you don't find something that you want to see here, let me know. The last step for this video, and something that I want to show you, is that as they release the Boeing 777 from PMDG to Microsoft Flight Simulator, I'm going to release to you this guide that you can see on the screen right now. It is 99% ready. I do not say that it's 100% ready, because I want to see how the 777 from PMDG will behave, and what is the initial setup for the cold and dark on the 777 PMDG. What kind of switches they are on, what kind of switches they are off, so I can tell you how to deal with them. Okay, so this was based on the Prepare 3D. If PMDG launches with the same configuration, and by same configuration I mean the buttons in the cold and dark state, they are the same in Prepare 3D and the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, I don't have to do anything. I can release to you on the first day of the launch for the 777. Otherwise, I will need one flight or one pre-flight to configure the airplane the way it's supposed to be, and to change the format of my guide. Okay, so I want to give a few details on my guide, and I'm going to do also more videos only about the guide for you to understand how to better use this. Okay, so basically what we have, well, we have so far 53 pages about the 777. You will find an introduction, you will find information on how I want you to use this, and especially how to use this guide. I'm going to give you specific format information for the checklist, and I also want to give you more information about the software that you are using, and then some information about myself, and then the procedure itself, like the initialization, what you are going to do when you sit on your computer and you want to fly the 777 from PMDG. You are going to see some statements in bold, you are going to see some statements in normal format, and I want to tell you that whatever is in bold is something that you will have to press, you will have to do to make the airplane fly as real as possible. The other steps, the ones that are not in bold, is something that you can do to enhance your simulation experience, or you can do to comply with all the procedures from a pilot perspective. Okay, also every time that you see the list of actions, and this list has a gray background, it means that this is not done by the pilots in real life, but you will have to do on your sim if you want to comply with everything. So for example, the first one is FMC menu, PMDG setup, panel state load, and you are going to load the cold and dark, and you are going to execute the cold and dark state. Of course, in the real airplane this is not possible. You are going to see the airplane in cold and dark after a complete electrical power down. So when you arrive with the airplane and the airplane is cold and dark, is not something that you can just click a button and the airplane will do it by itself, but this is a real state that you are going to take the airplane. So when the maintenance start working on that airplane, that's what they are going to do. One of the things they are going to see is that if the wheel chocks are in place, and even if you have a way to enter this airplane, it means by a stair or jetway, and then it depends on what you have, you are going to request these stairs, these jetways, so you have a mean to enter the airplane. And then you are going to start, for example, and I'm going to go with you just through the first procedure, which is the electrical power up. Okay, so in the electrical power up, if you were using the PMDG 777 from the cold and dark, there are only a few things that you need to do. You need to take the battery switch to on, and then you need to establish electrical power. And by establishing electrical power, I choose to use external power, and then in this case you need to request and connect your ground power, and then once you have your ground power, you have to connect your primary external power, and you have to connect your secondary external power, and that's it. That's the procedure that you need to do. So basically, the procedures that are in bold. The procedures that are not in bold, the procedures that are in normal, like C1 and C2 primary pump switches, they must be in the off position, but in the cold and dark state, they will already be in the off position. Of course, in the real plane, the pilots, they go step by step to make sure that the last pilot or the last maintenance engineer that switch off the airplane, they did it properly. Okay, so on the real airplane we have to check everything. On the simulator we can assume that everything is done as it was supposed to be. So these items that I'm highlighting now in green, you don't have to do it, okay, because they will be already there by your default airplane, including the bus tie switches here. Another thing, in this procedure I elect to use external power, but if I don't want to use external power, if I want to use the APU, then I do this procedure that is down here in green. Okay, so that's the way I decided to create this guide to you. Okay, so something that as a beginner you can follow only the bold items and you will be able to fly the 777. If you want to study as a real pilot, or if you want to simulate as a real pilot, then you can do step by step. All the steps, they will be here. I will go through very quick through them. I give you an advanced tip for you to start your flight. Then I'm going to show you the preliminary pre-flight. Then I'm going to show you the external inspection. Then we start with the FMC. After FMC we have pre-flight. So note, for example, pre-flight, the airplane is almost fully configured by the 777 from the cold and dark. You don't have to change much for the pre-flight. The only things that you have to change are the bold things. So on the pre-flight checklist, if you really want just to fly this airplane and you don't want to comply any procedure itself, you just need to go through the bold ones, which is you adjust your altimeter, you turn on the traffic switch, you turn on the flight directors, you turn on the auto throttle. Here is the other flight director, that's why I said flight directors, and also the altimeter on the right side, also the traffic switch on the right side, and the last step that you need to do is to select your auto brake to reject takeoff. All the rest will be already set. So as a real pilot, you are going to check every single button of this airplane, but it is supposed to be already preset by PMDG. Okay, so with these few steps you are able to do the pre-flight. I also include the checklist for you, even though the checklist will be on the PMDG 777. Then I add ATC clearance, departure briefing, refueling, performance, then before start procedure, before start checklist, pushback or towing, engine start, before taxi checklist, taxi, before takeoff checklist, takeoff, after takeoff checklist, climb and cruise, cruise briefing, descent, arrival briefing, descent checklist, approach, then approach checklist, ILS approaches, RNAV approaches, or better I would change this, my mistake here, I'm sorry, this is says RNAV approaches, but this is going to be the VNAV approaches, and then landing checklist, go around and missed approach, landing and landing row, I'm sorry, and then automatic landing and landing row, after landing, shutdown checklist, secure checklist, handing over to the maintenance, electrical power down, finalizing the flight, including removing the stairs and the jetways from the airplane. So you started from cold and dark, you started even connecting the stair to your airplane, and I will leave you at the end of this flight even removing the stair from that airplane, okay? And also a list of services available from PMDG, and the last one is just a summary of updates, because as I update this guide, you are going to see what are the changes that I did. So if you are studying, you can keep track on your study and only change the pages or the parts that you need. Okay, so guys, I hope you like this video. I hope that now you understand a little bit more about the 777, you understand a little bit more about the PMDG quality, and I really hope that I can get you through this journey with the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and the PMDG 777 from a real 777 pilot perspective. Okay, thank you so much and see you next time. Bye bye.